Hello, welcome everybody to GitHub. It is a miracle that I got this stream working. My name's Cassidy. I'm on the GitHub team, the GitHub advocacy team, and I'm super excited to share with you stuff about GitHub Copilot, tell you how you can make the most of it. And then if you have any questions throughout the stream, I will keep an eye on the comments and we can gab all day long, or at least for about an hour until I have a meeting or something. But I hope y'all have had a good New Year so far. I got a new office chair and I'm still getting used to it. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna share about me. Oh, we got some people in the chat. Oh wow, we've got some people from India. We've got people. We're streaming to Twitch. We're streaming to YouTube. We're streaming to LinkedIn. It should be pretty fun. But anyway, yes, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Okay, so I want to talk to you about GitHub Copilot. If you haven't used GitHub Copilot, that's cool. Neither have I. Just kidding. I use it probably way too much. But it is a really awesome tool, and I'm going to share a link to it in the chat if, once again, I can figure out how to use the chat. And in case you missed it, over the holidays, we made it free. And so if you want to use GitHub Copilot for free, you can do that. And that's very exciting. And it's a free tier, not a free trial. And so you get a certain number of credits per month. I want to say like 2,000 code completions and 50 chat messages. That gets me pretty far, honestly, but you know, I don't know how much you code, but it's a pretty great tier, and it gives you access to the GPT-4o models, and then it also gives you access to Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which are both pretty good. I feel like GPT is better for like ideating on or brainstorming in terms of like writing blog posts or figuring out how I want to do something a bit more creatively. And I found that Claude Sonnet is good for more exact things in terms of code. So yeah, it works across a bunch of different IDEs. I see, Mohammed, you had the question. There's some features in different IDEs outside of VS Code with Copilot. It's just a matter of the extension that the different IDEs have built for Copilot, but all of the features that we try to add to Copilot are just in Copilot itself, and it's more a matter of how other IDEs implement those features. So I hope that answers your question there. But wow, it's great to see all y'all here. Where should I go to learn how to code? Right here. Seth, welcome. So I wanted to just straight up share my screen and show you how to use Copilot a little bit in case you haven't yet. When will MCP be supported in Copilot? I don't know what that is. What's MCP? I'm going to Google it. I'm getting Milwaukee College Prep when I Google that, and I'm pretty sure that's not what you're talking about. So if you wouldn't mind being more specific, that'd be awesome. But until then, I am going to share my screen and show you Copilot things, and we will go from there. Okay, how do I do that on StreamYard? Let's find out. I promise I was very prepared. Okay, I'm going to share this screen, gonna share this screen. Blammo, I think. Look at that. It's like I know what I'm doing. Okay, so this is the Copilot page. That's the URL down below there if you want to go check out Copilot and see all of the things that you can do. But why read marketing copy when I can just show you how to build with it with actual code? Okay, so this is a repo of mine, and I'm going to explain both what this repo is and then also a little bit more about Copilot itself. So first of all, I'm just going to go into this JavaScript file. For those who haven't used Copilot before, the very, very basics of what it can do is really, really smart autocomplete. And so if I wanted to say like a JavaScript function that returns two numbers added together, then I could do function add. Oh, it already was about to do it for me. There we go. Look at that. Add two numbers, 1 and 2. but I might want to be more specific and say A and B and make some changes here. So instead of 1 and 2, A and B. That happened very fast because it's doing that autocomplete for me. When I just hit tab, it autocompletes what the code is. And so it's a relatively straightforward thing for a small function like that, but you can do a little bit more complex things too, which is great. And so yes, you have add two numbers, but you could also say like, I want to do a function that validates a certain type of string structure with some regex. You could do I often have it do a lot of like React boilerplate stuff for me. If I, for example, want to have some kind of really smart use effect or something, in my code, it'll do that. So that is the first thing that Copilot can do. What is the agenda? Can anyone brief me on the same? The agenda is I'm just showing you Copilot, and then I'll try to answer questions in the chat as I go. So again, that's the first part of it. What's the best way to ensure my secrets aren't being sent to Copilot? I think they aren't by default. And there should be some security docs on that on the documentation website, but it does not. I think it very purposely doesn't learn your secrets, so don't worry about that. One thing that I particularly like that is relatively new that you might not know about is GitHub's custom instructions for Copilot. And so if you make a .github folder in your Gitman repo, and you probably have a .github folder if you've done anything like pull request templates or issue templates or any sort of features that you might want to add to a particular GitHub repo, you can also now add custom instructions. And so when you have a .github folder, you can add custom instructions to it. And so I'm going to actually pull up the docs for that really quick. GitHub custom instructions. I should have had that pulled up. There we go. Custom instructions. Pasting it in the chat. Now you can check that out. But what's nice about that is when you have a custom instructions file, it just works and it's great. And so you put it in the Copilot instructions.md file. So I'm actually going to copy and paste that and create a new file called Copilot instructions.md. In this file, you can just tell Copilot exactly what you want it to do whenever it does autocomplete or chat completions or something. And so, for example, if I wanted to say, like, I want you to write every code completion. So, oh, that you see the edit. Oh, that's funny. It's already trying to suggest what I should do. I want to say, I want you to write every comment as if you're a pirate on the high seas. Yar. Look at that. So that's it's a silly instruction, but now whenever I have Copilot generate comments for me, it will write every comment like it's a pirate on the high seas. I haven't actually tested this prompt before, so now I'm curious. I wonder if I have to refresh something. I should know this off the top of my head, but I'm going to say function, this is cool, and I'm going to say, oh, look at that. This is cool. Now write the comment. Nope, that's not what it is. I think it's distracted by the rest of my code. But anyway, that's what it generally should do. And I've been able to get it to work before where it, for example, will say at the beginning of every React component that you generate, I want you to have use client. Or whenever I ask you a certain question about who's the coolest developer in the world, return Cassidy, something like that. And so typically that's what you can do. Custom instructions. I think it's particularly awesome. Will there be custom instruction support at the folder level? Ooh, that's a good question. That is a feature request. I will pass this along to the team because I think that's a great idea. So you would want custom instruction support at the folder level. Are you thinking for like a mono repo, or are you thinking for like different languages or something? I'm very curious. Do you write in a different style per folder? I guess it would be interesting to have one like an instructions file that has to do with a design system and then do it there. That's very interesting. That's a really cool question. I will send that to the team. That's really cool. So anyway, custom instructions. That's one of my favorite things. If you haven't used GitHub Copilot Chat, you should, and it's great. And so GitHub Copilot Chat is this little chat window right here. When you click the little icon, you could say like, okay, I want to use GitHub Copilot Chat. First of all, you can choose whichever model you want to type in there. And so Claude, Sonnet, and GPT-4 are the ones that are available on the free plan. And then there's other ones available on the higher level plans. But what you can do is ask Copilot whatever you want. So I could say like, could you explain how a certain function works like this? So I'll highlight this and then I'll explain how does this selected code work. Oh, look, ahoy, matey. See, it's using my custom instructions. This code be checking the, the HTTP method of an incoming event. And so it can, and it has a little yar at the end. That's so cute. Anyway, I forgot. Anyway, that's how that part of Copilot Chat works. It has a bunch of different agents in there that you can query, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. That being said, I saw that there was a question of could use custom instructions with other IDEs. I think that depends on how Copilot is implemented in those IDEs. And so that's up to like the IntelliJ team. I don't know how they implemented it. I can only speak to the VS Code side, so take that as you will. But I suppose if you use it in chat and chat is enabled in IntelliJ, that could work. I'm not sure. Anyway, once again, I'm not on those teams, so I couldn't say. So you have access to different agents in Copilot Chat. This one, I used the workspace agent, and that's asking about your workspace. So I could, for example, ask in the workspace other various questions, and it does like repo indexing, so you don't always have to just ping the workspace. It can intelligently guess what your question is. Also, if this is too small, let me know. I can zoom in a little bit more. I'll zoom in a tiny bit more. But let's just say I want to say, is there anywhere in this function or in this repository where I install a new package? I'm making this up. I haven't actually done this. Ahoy, matey. Okay, yeah, and so there you go. I'm installing things in package.json. That was kind of a gimme question because this is a smaller repo, but it's really helpful if, for example, you have a much larger repo of components, let's just say I want to ask, is there a design system component for a button that has an icon in it? And it can find exactly which file that is, and then you can use that exact component, which is pretty nice. Structured JSON output in VS Code LLM through Copilot. You could do that with the custom instructions, theoretically. I haven't tried. It sounds kind of cool. So there's other things that you can do in the chat. So I mentioned the workspace agent. That's for asking questions about your workspace and saying, I want to fix X, Y, and Z in my workspace. But you could also ask the GitHub agent, and it's literally going at GitHub. And in that lets you ask questions about the GitHub repo itself. It lets you ask more of like meta questions. For example, I don't actually know if I have any. Are there any issues in this repository that I should fix? And do that. I'm curious. I don't actually know if anybody's made issues on this repo. We'll find out live. That's how you know it's live, people, because I get a little bit nervous when I write code. Yay, there's no open issues. But what's nice is you could say like, okay, let's just say I know that I'm working on issue number 8 and I don't want to leave my IDE. You could say, hey, tell me what are the high-level items I need to fix for issue number 8? And it'll give me a bullet-pointed list or something like that, which is really nice. I see Copilot is good, but sometimes it can introduce bug. That's true. I think all AI tools can introduce bugs. And so you should know generally what you're doing and use it as a co-pilot. You are the pilot in control. Use it as a guide. not as like the be all end all build everything for me, because especially when you want to maintain something over time, you don't want to lose it. Um, so let's see, what are the current token limitations in code generation? I think that depends on the model that you're using. I don't actually remember because I haven't really hit that limit, but theoretically you could go pretty hardcore with it. Anyway, one of the other things that I wanted to bring up, I mentioned being able to work with custom instructions and like the advanced autocomplete, being able to query the GitHub agent and the workspace agent. I also want to talk to you about being able to make your own agents and make your own extensions. So GitHub Copilot extensions, I'm going to pull it up right now, github.com/features/Copilot extensions. Okay, I'm going to paste that in the chat here. Can you prompt Copilot to follow the code style used in the repo? Yes, you can. Do that with custom instructions, but you can say like, I want it to be matched in the style, and I'll show that in a little bit. GitHub Copilot extensions is one of my favorite things that I feel like not a lot of people know a ton about. And so with GitHub Copilot extensions, what you can do is you can create your own agents that query APIs, that run your own functionality, whatever you'd like, all within Copilot chat, which is very cool. And so there's an extensions marketplace that you can see, and there's some live ones where, for example, I've used the Launch Darkly extension. Launch Darkly is a feature flag service, and when you use the Copilot extension with Launch Darkly, you could say, I want to flip this flag on and off right in Copilot, or I want to be able to create a new feature flag in my editor without ever having to leave the Copilot chat, and it'll just do that. There's a bunch of these here on the marketplace. Like, for example, you can ask Stack Overflow right in your editor, but even cooler than all the ones that exist, you can build your own extensions. And that part is sick because you can have it do pretty much whatever you want. And the repo that I've been actually showing you has been my Copilot extension. Not to be like a fully shameless plug there, but it's a very exciting thing. And I will show you a little bit more. So one second, let me pull up my code again. So there's documentation, everything. I will actually paste this right here. Can do different chat participants talk with each other and hand off data or information? Not through Copilot, but I think if you use like VS Code Live Share, you theoretically could, but that sounds hacky. And I'm afraid to do that live on an official live stream. But if you do try that and it works, let me know, because I would like to see it. Okay, cool. What's the difference between Git and GitHub? Git is the version control software. GitHub is where it's hosted. And so you can host a bunch of your code and Git repositories on GitHub, but Git is the actual software itself. You can use Git just locally on your computer to say, okay, I want to track changes in my code. GitHub is a layer on top of that. And what's the advantage of Copilot over something like other tools out there? Honestly, for me, I think it's the ecosystem, and I'm about to talk about extensions, which I think is part of that. But I think not only the model selectors and the extensions and everything, but just the ecosystem and partnerships that are built up. And there's a lot of power there. I'll leave it at that. Pick what you want. I personally really like using Copilot because it kind of lives where I want to work. And so if I want to work with VS Code, it works in there. If I do want to work with another editor like IntelliJ, it works there. If I want to just turn it off, but then turn it on when I'm getting stuck on something, I can do that. And I feel a little bit more in control. Okay. Anyway, so I mentioned GitHub Copilot extensions. That is exactly what this repository is that I've built. It is an extension that I made specifically for brainstorming. So in a previous life, pre-GitHub, I was working at a startup that built brainstorming tools. And I really missed having those tools. And I realized, wait a minute, I can build that with Copilot now. And so I built this extension. And what's cool about it is it's a glorified serverless function, but with stuff that you can add. And so the things that I've installed in here, I'm going to zoom in again, are just Axios for making function calls, and then OctoKit, which allows you to do GitHub auth and stuff. If you were to look at some of the examples out there in the documentation, which again, I pasted a link, but I will paste once more just in case. If you want to build off an example, use one of those sample apps and it's great. I used one of the sample apps to build this one. So after installing those, the entire function is just in this brainstorm.js. And so this prompt right here is from my old open source startup where it's all about brainstorming. And it's like, here's how I want to structure the conversation. This is an AI assistant that brainstorms ideas, that sort of thing. I'm going to minimize that. And then in here, it's truly a serverless function that just passes the prompt. So it's not a hardcore one. You could build a more complex one that, again, queries an API or certain documentation or something like that. But what I did is I made this prompt and then I do a try catch. So I get the GitHub's token, the GitHub user token from OctoKit there, and get this token for the user, make sure that everybody is logged in and stuff. So the user using it, it's them using it. And then this prompt right here is the prompt that I have linked above. And then below it calls the GitHub Copilot chat completions API. And that's about it. After that, it's just resolving the response and then passing it to the chat. And so all of this was mostly sample code with the exception of just everything that I put in the prompt there. And so what I can do in Copilot Chat is after you make an extension, you can install it and I can show you how that works. But I could reach out to my Brainstorm Buddy extension that I made and I could say, I want to brainstorm a live stream concept. I'm keeping it basic for you all right here. Very meta. Sounds like a fun project. I'd love to help you brainstorm a live stream concept. Can you provide me with more information on what it'll be about? It's going to be about how to effectively use LLMs. And so anyway, I can now chat with it using the brainstorming prompt to make all this happen. So it's a powerful tool for various applications. Could you please provide more details on what specifically you'd like to cover in the stream? And then there's also a voice chat aspect that I really like in VS Code. And so I could start a voice chat and say, for example, I want to talk about prompt engineering, and I want to talk about how to effectively use LLMs to surface important content. And I also want to make sure I address the fact that LLMs are a very powerful tool, but they can make mistakes. And so people shouldn't rely on them too much when they are building things. And then it can just send it off to the extension. And so I made this extension purely because I like talking things out. And if there's nobody to talk to about ideas, it's nice to kind of just do that in the chat. And so it broke down what I said into some clear points. And now it's going to keep asking me more questions about that. This is just kind of a silly example. But yeah, Socratic thinking as a service, that's exactly what I called it. So it just keeps prompting me with questions so I can keep talking things out. It's a basic example for an extension, but it's something for me super valuable because I can use that to kind of just come up with new ideas. I've seen some people who've used it to, again, check out their own internal documentation, or if they want to query a certain service that they've built, or if they have an internal API that they want to query. You can build an extension that is just for you or just for your org, or you can make a public extension for everyone. And so it's really nice to be able to have that functionality. And I feel like being able to extend Copilot is one of those things that really helps you build much, much faster because you can kind of customize it to your needs, which is really nice. With this type of extension, maybe I've finally run out of excuses to not do therapy. I legally feel like I cannot condone that, but follow your dreams. Okay. Anyway, oh yeah, no, I saw that Twitch has follower only chat. I don't know how to control that. I'm sorry. But I will try to fix that later. Anyway, so that building extensions into Copilot, I think, is just one of the most powerful, cool things that you can do to really customize everything. But wait, there's more. I bet you didn't see that coming. Okay, so I've talked about the workspace agent. I've talked about the GitHub agent. I've talked about autocomplete. I've talked about using custom instructions, and I've talked about building custom extensions. But let's just say I want to customize this extension a little bit more, or maybe I want to add a UI or something. That might mean that I need to make some new files. I might need to make some notes in the README. I might need to make multiple changes. If only I could edit multiple files at once with Copilot. You can. You can. So in Copilot chat, there's a tiny little button. And actually, I'm going to just clear the chat so it's a little bit easier to see. By the way, when you do //clear, that clears the chat. Ask me how many times I do that a day. Okay, so there's a tiny little button here called Copilot Edits. When you click Copilot Edits, this is a thing that lets you edit files. No way. So what you could do is you can say, hey, given certain files in this repository, I want to edit all of them or create new ones to do something. And so, for example, right now, this is my working set. It's just using whichever open file I have, this brainstorm.js. I could say, oh, I want to also include my package.json. I want to include brainstorm.js. Once again, this is a very, very small repository, so it kind of feels a little silly, but it is very helpful when you have a much larger one. What you can say is, I want to edit the files in a specific way or create new files in a specific way based on my instructions or based on my custom instructions or based on other files in the repository, which is really, really nice. So what you can do is, let's just say I want to build a user interface for this and I want it to be web-based. I could say, for example, create an index.html file that explains what this extension does based on the contents of brainstorm.js. And I don't know, what else do you want it to do? Make a note about it in the README. And let me just add the README to this as well. I've never done this before, so let's just see if it works. So with Copilot Edits, it makes actual changes not only to existing files, but also can make new files, which is really, really fun. So it's applying edits to README and it's generating edits to index.html. So it explains what's happening in the chat over here. And let's see what's happening. Ooh, we can actually see it happening live. Oh, and once again, because of my custom instructions, it makes it sound like a pirate. Because why not? Oh, this is really fun, actually. I'm going to open this. Okay, so what you can see is it made a change in the README. Let me close some files here. It made the changes in the README, and we can see what those changes are. You can see a diff, so it shows like an actual Git diff, which is really nice because sometimes you don't know what changes might be happening. And for more details about what this extension does, check out index.html. Sure, great, I accept. And let's see. Oh, it also added a doc type to this. Oh, this is just for the index. Okay, cool. I'm just going to accept. Great. So this looks good, right? I should open it. Okay, 1 second. I don't actually know. Oh yeah, I think I can just open it from VS Code, but I'm just going to open it over here and then pull it from my browser. Wow, it's an HTML file. Incredible. I know that's silly, but it's exciting because it generated this entire HTML file and it's like, ahoy, this be a GitHub Copilot extension that helps you brainstorm ideas for your projects. I love that it's still talking like a pirate. That's so fun. I did not expect that. This extension be designed to not give ye answers, but to help ye think through your ideas. Do pirates really just use ye for everything? That's fine. Yar. Um, anyway, kind of fun, right? It's exciting. So it created this, and I can continue to edit these files if I wanted to. So, for example, this is ugly. What if I made it not? What a concept. So I could say, okay, I'm done with that editing session, but now I want to just edit the index.html. Add some CSS to make the font sans serif. Add some margins to the page and center the content and make it feel more pirate-y. I don't know what to expect, but that's the joy of using LLMs. So, because again, we have a working set, the working set is our index.html here. You can see it's actively editing the index.html. Ooh, yar. It even has the comments. Wait, that's kind of fun. Gold like a pirate's treasure. Dark text for easy reading. Aye, a nice blue for your links. That's so cute. Man, that's so fun. Okay. I'm just going to blindly accept it. Normally, I do a bit more of a code review, but the comments have fully sold me. And let's see how it looks. Did it not work? And see, this is why you should actually check things. Oh, I didn't save the file. Cassidy, you need to be better. So that's one UX thing that you might want to watch out for. You got to save the file, not just accept it. Sometimes you can accept change in your life, but have you really saved it to your brain? There's some metaphor in there. Anyway, now let's actually look at the index.html and see how it looks. So you saw before it was very like Times New Romany. Wow, look, now it is gold. And the links are prettier. Look at that. So it's not gorgeous, but it's something. It's cool. I will say if you have, for example, existing CSS, or if you're using like a Tailwind or some other CSS utility library, it's better at that. But the fact that I didn't have to write any of this myself and it's piratey, that's pretty cool, right? It's pretty fun. And once again, I've been using GPT-4o as the model for this. You can use different models in Copilot. You could use Claude Sonnet. If you're on one of the paid plans, there's more model options. I know that the O1 model was released relatively recently. But yeah, it's kind of fun to be able to enable all of these different functionalities in there. And I know that Gemini is working with the team. I think that might be on the pro plan and higher. We announced that at GitHub Universe, but I don't know the exact one. I see that question on there. Are there any other questions? I'm gonna keep an eye on the chat and scroll up because now I see that I've missed a whole bunch as I was yapping my head off. Can Copilot work with local code and code not hosted on GitHub? I know you can be very specific about your custom instructions in that regard. And so you could say like, hey, I want you to specifically just use these files as reference and stuff. And you can just say that in your instructions in chat or whatever, and it works. I did do a demo at GitHub Universe where I was able to say like, okay, I like that this table exists, but I want to be able to do it in a line chart or something like that. And so I was able to say, based on the line chart, I want you to create a similar file, but it should be an area graph or something. And I want you to have it follow similar styles. It generated the entire React component for it, and it followed all of my custom instructions based on existing files in the repository, which was really nice. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Upcoming features of Copilot. Um, Good question. I feel like so much was released recently that it's kind of hard to keep track of what else could possibly be coming because it's been so much. Um, let's see. We launched the free tier. We launched extensions. We launched Copilot in Xcode, and so if you're an iOS developer or use Xcode for your development, you can use it in that. Well, what else did we release? We released the custom instructions. We released the GitHub agent, um, the Copilot extensions marketplace. There's been a lot of things coming out. I'm trying to think what else there is that's coming soon. Keep an eye on the GitHub changelog. We kind of quietly announce things there before going really big with that, and so that's a good place to look. Thanks for thinking my explanations are well structured. I am truly flying by the seat of my pants, but I'm glad. Um, what do you mean by native agent support in Copilot being mobile? Let me know. Because I think if you mean native, like that's kind of what extensions are, unless I'm thinking of something else. Oh yes, Copilot workspaces. Yes, that's a cool one. And then also, if any of you have tried GitHub Spark, that one is really cool. Let's see, it's spark.githubnext.com. I think it's still on a wait list right now, but it's you could ask for access on the wait list. This one is very fun to just kind of experiment with app ideas, which is awesome. And so if I wanted to say, for example, I want to build an app that I don't want to do a to-do list. Does anybody have ideas? An app that generates dad jokes. No, wait, I already did that one. I made an actual app that generates dad jokes, and it's very fun. So you can enter a topic, or it'll generate a random joke for you. Why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. Haha. But I can also add a theme. So I could say the jokes, LLMs are not good at jokes, but we try. If I want the topic to be candy, then I can generate a joke. Why didn't the candy go to school? Or why did the candy go to school? Because I wanted to be a smarty. That's cute. Anyway, with GitHub Spark, you can refine it. And so I could say, in addition to refining your Spark, I want to be able to say, I want to add plus and minus buttons for if the joke is good or bad. If the joke is bad, regenerate it. Blammo. And so I explain what I want the app to do, and it makes the changes for me, which is really nice. That's a knee slapper for sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is called GitHub Spark. I'm pretty sure the waitlist is still a thing, but they're pretty fast at working through it. Let me just confirm that. Dynamics.com. Okay. Yes, you sign in, and then there we go. I'm going to paste that. Currently, it's and so it's in the chat, and you can check that out. It is limited to web apps for now. I think honestly, it's very useful for just ideating on how certain things can be built more than actually using it for something in production. But honestly, I really like using it, like for example, with this dad joke generator. So let's just say we want to do another thing. Let's just say night. I want the joke to be about night. Why did the scarecrow become a night owl? Because he wanted to see what all the hoot was about. That's really funny. That gets a thumbs up from me. But anyway, I can generate another one. Pencil. I have a pencil on my desk. Why did the pencil go to the doctor? I was feeling a little dull. I don't like that. Bad joke. Now it's generating a new one. Why did the pencil go to the principal's office? Because it was caught drawing in class. I don't know if I love it. But anyway, it added that functionality with the thumbs up and thumbs down. That's pretty cool, right? And so for these, it's not so much, like, can it build something for mobile, or can it do X, Y, and Z? It's more, can it build the proofs of concept? And that's the full screen button. But I meant to click this button. It shows the code. And so if you wanted, I could copy this React code or edit it. And so I could say like, instead of doing this prompt, or I could say like, I want, let's see, dad joke generator. I also want to do text center. Look at that. Now the headline is centered. And I also want the page container to have a class name of BG Red 100. That's a Tailwind color, right? Look at that. Now it's pink. So anyway, you can edit the code in here, whether it's the functionality or just the styles or something, and it'll just work. And then you can add more prompts, and it kind of helps you work through app ideas, which is kind of fun. Does it give you the code it generated? Yes, that's once again, you click the code button and then you get access to it. But once again, let's just say, okay, now that my headline is centered, thank goodness, I'm going to go back to prompting it. Then I can add more prompts to refine the app. Let's see. Yeah, it's micro, but it's fun. I've built a VS Code extension with features nearly the same to GitHub Copilot. Wow. Good job. Let's see. Did it choose React and Tailwind on its own? It did. That I'm mixed opinions on. You can tell it to not. And so there have been apps that I've made so many different ones. One that I actually was kind of proud of that took quite a bit of massaging of prompting is generating a Minesweeper board for Discord. Because if you use Discord, you can add like spoiler text to things. So this generates a board that you can copy to your clipboard and then paste in Discord, and then you can play Minesweeper with the spoiler text, which is kind of fun. And hey, let's just say you wanted to play with this. I can copy it and paste it into the chat. Check that out. And now you can play with my app, I think. I haven't actually shared this one before, so we'll find out. But anyway, so you have all these different ones, but you can also, let's see, I don't have that in here right now. You can say, I want you to only use HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I don't want you to use React or Tailwind or anything. And it reacts to that pretty well. That's a pun. It reacts to it. I love to view good jokes. Ooh, thank you so much, Mark, for sharing. There's a waitlist sign up. And once again, the waitlist is relatively fast. Oh, it doesn't work if you don't have access to Spark. Darn it. Okay, but hey, sign up and I'll tell the team to pull in a new batch of people right after this stream. But yeah, let's just have create a web app that, what do you want the web app to do? Tell me what to do, chat. I'm trying to think. I'm just gonna, I hate to do it. Create a to-do list. Create a to-do list web app in vanilla, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Embed a form. I could embed a form into it. I'm gonna stick with this for now. It's basic, but I want to show you that it can. Because yeah, I think I could go on a whole rant about how, like, yes, React and Tailwind are so popular that it's good to use existing popular practices, but you don't want to completely stick with those practices for eternity, etc., etc. Is AI just honing in on that? But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. But as you can see, the script, no JavaScript, woohoo, it's all vanilla. And let's see if this actually works. Finish live stream. Oh, it doesn't work. Cool. We can tell it to refine it. Make it so that when you click the add button, it adds the to-do item to a bulleted list below. Oh, wow, it came up with to-do items? That's fun. Okay, I'm gonna one thing at a time. I haven't seen that before. They've definitely been, like, changing it actively, and so whenever I come in here, it's something new and exciting. Okay. For some reason, that part isn't working. I wonder why. Hmm. Hmm. It's interesting. You sent in your request to waitlist? Alright. A checkers game with an LLM opponent? Oh, that's a good idea. I'll try that. I have a feeling that's not going to go well, but I think that would be very cool. So, I'm going to try this. Um, okay, it's trying to work on my to-do list app. I'm gonna let it do its work. Actually, no, I'm not. Let's just go to the home. Okay, a checkers game with an LLM opponent. Okay. Um, and technically, I see there's questions like, could you have this in Copilot and VS Code? You theoretically could with Copilot edits. You could just say, I want you to create files to do all of these things. But this is more, I don't know. I haven't tried it. But anyway, okay. Create a checkers game where you can play moves against an LLM opponent. I don't know what to expect. One time I tried to make solitaire and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was a lot of massaging of prompts. Once again, there's limits to what an LLM can do, but it's fun to test those limits for sure. So let's see what it can come up with. It looks like it's already got some buttons and containers and everything. Okay, it's got the root, and so I can also hide the code entirely if I don't want to actually watch the code being generated. Wow, we've got the board size in there. It's adding different squares. When I look at code that's being generated, I'm like, am I interrupting? I don't want to embarrass you. Okay. Current turn red. Am I red? Oh my gosh, it worked. That's so cool. Wait, okay. I haven't played checkers in a really long time. They jump you then, right? Oh, okay. I don't think I'm good at checkers. Oh no. But oh my gosh, that's so cool. Is it going to what's it gonna do? Oh, it's my turn? I'm jumping you. Can I? Do I just I don't remember how to play checkers. Is it just moving forward? Oh, I think there's just a bug. Anyway, as you can see, for one prompt, that's not bad. It has something that lets you click, take turns, and talk to an AI. So something's jank, but it's something. It got us part of the way there. So once again, everyone wants access to GitHub Spark. I'll say, hey y'all, give them access and you'll be all set. But that's what's cool about GitHub Spark. So as you're ideating on all kinds of different apps, let's just say, hey, I really liked that dad joke generator app. I'm going to copy and paste the code directly into VS Code. Now I can use it with Copilot. Haha. And so um can Spark replace ChatGPT? I don't know about that. I think it's different purposes. I think the good thing about LLMs is when it's used for very specific purposes. If you try to just make it the do everything app, which a lot of LLMs do, you start to run into hiccups and you have to massage it a little bit more. Something like a Spark, it's really good at generating these kind of prototype apps. Something like a Copilot, it's really good at working with developers to generate code together and write code together. There's different tools for different things. I would not use AlphaGo, which is the AI that played Go famously a few years ago. I would not use AlphaGo for generating code. I would use it specifically for playing Go. So asking if something is better than another when they're different purpose tools, I don't know if that's the right question to ask. It's not necessarily that there isn't a right answer, but it's not necessarily the right question to ask, if that makes sense. Can it work for chess rather than checkers? We could try. I'm happy to try. Let me see what other questions you might have. And once again, let me know if you have more questions about what you can do with Copilot. For those who don't know, actually, this whole live stream is because we have a hackathon happening. Let me pull it up. I don't know if y'all came from dev.2. I'm trying to find the events. Oh, that's my face. So how meta is this? I open up dev.2 and this live stream is right here. Okay. There's a 1-day build challenge with GitHub Copilot happening right now, and I'm going to paste it in the chat. You should enter. The submissions are open now, running through January 19th, and you can win money, which who doesn't like that? It's just build something in a day. Build something in a day, use Copilot to do it. And there's different prompts that you can follow. And so the first prompt is new beginnings. And so build some kind of tool that's focused on new beginnings. Pretty nice, right? The other one is fresh starts, where build some kind of social good or sustainability app around the concept of fresh starts. Think groceries, plants, nature, stuff like that. And then the last one is transitions and transformations. So build some kind of creative or artistic tool that visualizes transitions or transformations. I think that one sounds the most fun personally, because you could use like a Pixie.js or something to make some cool graphics and stuff. But anyway, these are the 3 prompts. You can submit as many times as you want, because it's just the 1-day build challenge. What can you build in a day? And so you just kind of show in your code that the Git commits happen in a day, I assume. But anyway, yeah, you plop that in there. To plop your submissions in there. You can submit per prompt multiple times, and I think teams are up to 4 people. So you could work on your own, or you could work together in a group. But there's the winner of each prompt gets 1,000 USD. You get a Dev++ membership. You get a badge. Badges are always fun because, street cred. Then you also get a gift from the dev shop. I don't know what that means, but they always have cool gifts. So anyway, you can learn more how to participate. I pasted it in the chat. The link is not cute, so it's kind of hard to type it out, but I've pasted it in the chat, and I'm going to do it one more time. Also, I see that crying.dev was built with GitHub Spark. So I'm going to pull it up to see that, because who doesn't love a good cry? This was built with GitHub Spark. Nice work, Ashley. Let's see. Your safe space for developer tiers. Type help to get started. Help. Oh, ooh, you can log a cry and the intensity. Ooh. Let's see. Oh, and then you add your notes. Okay, so I'm going to log a cry. The intensity was a 3. Yes. Intensity equals 3. The reason was so you choose between these reasons. Let's just say legacy code, because I feel like that's the one that makes me cry the most. And then notes. I am tired of mono repos. I think their build times are devastating. Cool. Wow, a cry was logged. That's so cute. Nice, Ashley. Let's see. You can pick your own. It's not very advanced. Okay, cool. So I could put like, I'm just sad. And then you can log the intensity. That's so fun. Oh, and then you can clear the terminal. Wait, exit and find out. There is no escape. You're stuck debugging forever. Now I will cry for real. Wow, that's so fun. And that was built with GitHub Spark. How cool is that? Man, I love all these Copilot tools. They are so fun to play with. Okay, anyway, I've mentioned the hackathon. I'm going to go back to it one more time just so that way you can keep an eye on it. Oh goodness, that's my face again. Um, if you have any other questions, please let us know. Um, and I will answer them here for the next few minutes. And then you can also reach out to us on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on LinkedIn. I think there's the GitHub community. There's so many different places where you can reach out to the team to ask questions, or you could just write a comment on this post down here and ask questions in there. We're trying to jump in and see whatever questions people might have. I will share this link one more time. Yes. I don't know if that's actually cross-posting into LinkedIn. It looks like it's only posting on YouTube and Twitch. So could someone just do me a favor and paste it? I'm not going to try to do this live. It's dangerous. Please paste that link into LinkedIn. How much time does it take for the Spark waitlist to have access? Not too long. It kind of depends on when they release waves, but I'll make a note to the team. How good is Copilot at finding code smells or bad practices when learning a language? I actually have found it to be pretty good. What I typically do in that case is, let's just say I am not confident in something. I'm going to highlight something that is more logic-y. What I can do in Copilot chat is just straight up ask. I could say, like, explain how the code works, and it will say, like, this is a provided code snippet writing in JavaScript. It does all these things. The element is being added. It explains it a little bit. But I could also say, like, is there a better way to write this or something? And that's a very generic way of typing it, but you can get a bit more. Oh, sure, matey. It's still talking to me like a pirate. But anyway, that's just turning it into one line. This was a bad example because it's not actually doing anything. It's just unshifting the message. But typically what you can do is say, like, what are the best practices for writing X, Y, and Z? How can I improve this or something? And if you don't want to say, how can I improve this and learn, you could go to edits and say, hey, improve this, go, and it will. Let's see. Do you plan on adding searching to Copilot? It can do that right now. Yeah, you can search throughout. We talked about that a little bit earlier. If you want to look more into it, look up the workspace agent or the GitHub agent. The workspace agent, that's where it does a bunch of repo indexing and it allows you to search and work within your repo. So it might say, like, is there a component that does XYZ? So good question on that. But then you can also say, like, am I able to do this, that, or the other, just based on what exists in the repo. With the GitHub agent, that allows you to search pull requests, saying, like, how many pull requests do I have open? What bullet points high level do I need to do to fix issue number 3 or something like that? And you can ask it questions like that. There's a bunch of different options that you can do in there. In terms of, like, web search and doc search and stuff, that depends on what you have enabled. So for example, what you could do is, if you're using the Stack Overflow extension, you could search Stack Overflow within your editor. There's different options where it's definitely using your repository and your code as the source of truth that it's working within. But if you wanted to pull outside resources, that just depends on how you enable things. Let's see. Oh, don't be sorry. I'm glad that you asked. Yeah, and so it uses GPT-4o by default, and then you can also have it use Claude Sonnet. And those are on the free plan. And then if you have the pro plans, there's also other models like the new O1 model. Let's see. I think I have answered all the questions. So I'm once again going to be pasting that hackathon because you should do it. It should be a very fun time. I hope one of y'all win because I like seeing people win. I'm pasting it in the chat one last time so that way you can see and be able to sign up and participate. And that's about it. We'll see you next time. We stream on this channel all the time for Open Source Fridays. We often do Startup Wednesdays, yada, yada, yada. We're going to try to stream a bit more. And I hope that it is helpful for you. If you're looking for token context limitations and stuff, that depends on the model that you're using. It's all in the GitHub documentation. I've been Cassidy. I am working at GitHub right now. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your first week of January. And if you have any other questions, some of the questions that I see that are coming in last second, I answered already. So watch earlier. But yes, we covered Workspace Agent, GitHub Agent, custom instructions, GitHub Spark, autocomplete, chat, multi-file editing, extensions, and more. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Oh wait, I have to add an outro? Oh my gosh, that's so awkward. Hang on, just pretend that I was really, really cool right before I clicked this button.